My name is Amanda K. Pardue, interviewing proponents of deschooling. Here with me now is Ivan Illich, author of the book Deschooling Society. Thank you for being here today, sir.
Thanks for having me.
I'm going to begin reading a quote by you, Ivan. You said, "Equal educational opportunity is indeed both a desirable and a feasible goal, but to equate this with obligatory schooling is to confuse salvation with the church." Before I begin questioning, would you like to explain that statement, Mr. Illich?
Well, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. All it's saying is that too often we rely on the institution to accomplish the goal.
Okay then. Well, I'm very interested in your stance on compulsory education. Do you feel that schooling should be required?
Are you an amateur? I'm a proponent of deschooling. What did you think my answer was gonna be?
Calm down, sir.
Amateurs.
Calm down. Why then don't you believe in the practice of mandatory schooling?
Well, this might take a while. Why should we have mandatory schooling? That should be the first question in your mind. We just seem to blindly accept that mandatory schooling is a good idea. I'll tell you why we shouldn't. It's because schooling, we too often confuse schooling with learning. I think everybody will agree that learning occurs just as much outside of a classroom as it does within. Yet we create this institution in which we say this is the time in which somebody should learn. This is ridiculous. It lessens the importance of learning. Learning should be something that happens at all times. At every moment of your life, you should be trying to learn. But no, we ruin it by saying we should have schools. Schools that say between this hour and this hour you're going to learn. Otherwise, you're free not to learn. That's ludicrous. And on these days you're going to learn, and on these days you don't have to. It takes learning as something that is constructed, not something that is fluid and constant. And I think it's ridiculous, and it makes learning look bad. Kids end up resenting learning. They think learning is like a task, something just that they need to do in school, and they end up destroying their passion for learning. And that even goes into the curriculum. Don't even get me started about that. Saying what should be required, what is necessary knowledge. Necessary knowledge, that's a ludicrous statement in and of itself. What is necessary for one person is totally unnecessary for another. So I won't even go into that. I'll hold off. But another reason I think schooling is wrong, and we most certainly should not have required schooling, to put it more plainly to answer your question, is because schooling is prejudice, okay? It creates a prejudice with classes, okay? Schools take a monopoly of the time of kids, and we say, oh, kids are learning from school. They're coming home. They say something new, okay? Something brand new to their mommy and daddy, and their mommy and daddy are like, oh yeah, this kid learned something. Well, he would have learned something if he wasn't in school, wouldn't he? Okay, all schools are doing are monopolizing kids' times, and then saying that, oh, well, this is why they learn, is because of the schools. No, they would have learned anyways. They just happened to be in your building when they did it. And that's what I don't like about it, okay? And also, the whole system of schooling is prejudice against the unschooled, okay? To be unschooled is inherently to say that you're stupid, that you're poor. Look at the way our society's set up. You can't even get certain jobs without certain levels of education. Okay, you have to have a high school diploma to become a manager at McDonald's. What do you learn in high school that teaches you how to manage a McDonald's? It's ludicrous. And then you can go on from there to get into college. You have to have a high school diploma. You don't have a high school diploma or the equivalent. You can't learn at a higher level. It's ridiculous, okay? And to say more about colleges is to say that colleges are simply higher institutions of learning where wealthy people send their kids, because you have to pay for that one, send their kids just to say that they have a little more education than the poor people. They get a nice little diploma to hang up on their wall, put on their wall and say, hey, look at this, I'm smarter than you. And I think it's classist. It's automatically saying that the higher education you have, the better you are. and that's ridiculous. I don't agree, and I think that if this was an issue of racism, saying, hey, you can't get this job because you're black, we all say that's wrong. But to say you can't get this job because you don't have the proper certificate, which a certificate, it's a subjective standard, subjective saying that you learn this or this. It's just I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought.
I'm sorry, sir. I see you're getting a little piped up.
It's the whole thing just makes me so angry. Schools.
Well,
Silly institutions.
yes, sir.
It's
yes.
racist.
I see. So you say that children would learn if they weren't in school, and they only learn in school because they're in that particular building. How do you feel that these students would learn if they were not in a school?
Amateurs. I mean, I think I kind of already hit on this. Too often we rely on the institutions to accomplish the goal. You don't need schooling to learn. I think people have an inherent passion to seek truth.
Do you feel that all students would have the inspiration or the drive to want to learn more? What would become of our nation if this was a reality?
I mean, I just said that everybody has a passion to seek truth. Yes, within everybody there's a desire to learning. It's schools that diminish this passion, okay? Because they say you have to learn this and this, and if it doesn't interest the student, that doesn't matter, because you have to learn it. I mean, there are plenty of examples of people who are very successful that were not successful in schools, okay? Take Albert Einstein. This is my favorite example. All right, Albert Einstein, we consider one of the most brilliant people ever. He didn't have a high school diploma. He didn't go to college. He couldn't even get on a college faculty. You know why? Because he didn't have a college certificate. But I don't think anybody would argue with me to say that he's smarter than most people on any given faculty at any university in this nation. But he couldn't get there just because he didn't have that pretty little paper hanging up on his wall. Okay, you know what he did? You know what his job was? He worked at a patent office. I wonder what the requirements are for that. Breathing? It was ridiculous. He was stifled. His knowledge and his talent was stifled because he didn't pass through our system of education. And he was only accepted after he passed his work that became world famous, and everybody realized how brilliant he was. They realized that our schools had failed him, but they didn't see it as a statement to say that our schools are flawed. They took it as, oh, this is just one rare case. Einstein is one in a million. No, he is not. There are millions of people out there whose school fails, and they're still brilliant and more than capable. But we pass over them. We call them idiots.
Well, if you're acquainted with its policies, this is sort of an off-the-wall question, but if you're acquainted with its policies, are you in favor or in opposition to the current No Child Left Behind law?
Are you an idiot?
I
No
don't
Child
think
Left
so.
Behind is a mandate on required schooling. I'm against required schooling. Why do you think I would have?
You're right. You're
No.
right.
Okay, but there is one thing I like about No Child Left Behind, and that is that it doesn't provide any federal funds towards education. Because I think federal funding education is a worthless and not a cost-effective task. You look at the ratio of cost benefits, and paying for schooling it's just worthless. Look at programs like Title I. Just the amount of money we spend versus the amount of help is nothing. It's comparable to healthcare. We spend about 300% or more on health than we did 50 years ago on healthcare. Yet the improvements is only about a 3% increase in life expectancy. Does that seem like a fair cost benefit ratio?
Absolutely
I don't think
not.
so. It's but beyond that, No Child Left Behind is silly because children will get left behind. I mean, let's be honest here. Any idealists out there, you're gonna realize that it's not the case. Children will be left behind based on the system of schooling in general. So just the name itself angers me.
Would you like to expand on that thought a little more?
I mean, what else? What else would you like me to say there? I mean, I think it's ridiculous.
You look a little confused, sir.
I don't know what more you want. No Child Left Behind?
Well, no, that's it's all right. We're actually out of time anyway, so thanks for being here, and I hope you'll join us again one day. Maybe next time, having had a mid-morning nap, or
Yeah, okay. I'm out of here. I don't need to be disrespected by an amateur.